Hello, can you all hear me? Good evening, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you. Actually.
I hope it's not echoing anymore.
No. It's clean.
All right. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Changemakers Masterclass year 2024. It's nice having you all here. So this program is a yearly tradition that brings together passionate educators from all over the world. It brings passionate educators together. Please, I need to know you all hear me, please.
We can hear you. Please go ahead. We can hear you. We're here with you.
So, like I said, it's a yearly program that brings passionate educators together, school leaders and thought innovators to inspire and empower ourselves. It is such an honor to be here with you. I'll introduce myself. I'm Balogun Bironke Patience. I'm an educator. I'm a school counselor. I work with Lagos State Teaching Service Commission. So the theme for this year's program is Resilience, Care and Innovation, RCI. Resilience, Care and Innovation, RCI. Hello.
We are
I think you should just keep talking. We can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. On this theme here, Resilience, Care, Innovation and Resilience, Care and Innovation, it speaks about the essence of in today's world. Over the course of this evening, you will hear from exceptional speakers. We have exceptional speakers that are going to lead us into what it means to be resilient, to be caring, and to be an innovator in the education sector. So I would like to introduce the keynote speaker. Tonight's speaker is a woman whose name is synonymous with innovation and transformation in education. And she's not that person than our mother in education sector, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo. Can we please give her a rounding innovation clap? Hello, can you please unmute and welcome our keynote speaker?
You're welcome, ma'am.
You're welcome, man.
So, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo.
You're welcome, madam.
You're welcome, ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Of Leading Learning Limited, and she was once a former honorable commissioner for education in Lagos State. She led groundbreaking initiatives that transformed the education landscape in Lagos, impacting thousands of teachers and students alike. She is also a passionate advocate for lifelong learning and a mentor to many in the education sector. I have been privileged to be in a gathering with Mommy, and I can say that I learned a lot from her. I did not go back the same way I came. Mommy, thank you for all the impact you made in the education sector. It was really, really nice having you as the Minister, Honorable Commissioner for Education in Lagos. Thank you. Sit tight and prepare to be inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here. Yes, I'm really happy to be here with you in your midst. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the nice introduction. I hope I just have a simple request. If we can please just mute, because there are a lot of background noises and it's making it difficult. So if we can have Olabisi Koleade, I hope you don't mind muting so that we cannot hear. Just mute. We like seeing your face, but at least mute, please, if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, so now that it's quiet, so it's great to be with all of you. I'm really excited at the prospect. And I was excited when I was asked to come and talk about this paper, because this is one of the things that really resonates a lot with me. And I would be glad if you keep on making comments in the chat box. And I'm sure that at the end of it, there will be time for us to talk. I will try. It's a very, very important topic. And I will do my best to stay within the 30-minute period. And I'm just putting on my stopwatch now and telling it that I want to be, I want to set my timer now and telling him that I want to do 30 minutes so that it will give me an alarm at 30 minutes. Thank you very much. So let me start now. It's already started counting down. So resilience, this topic was so exciting. Leading with resilience, building strength and stability in education. It's to see how, as educational leaders, and every classroom teachers, you are leading in your classroom. Education leaders, you are leading a whole community. To see how we can cultivate resilience within ourselves and within our institutions and within our students, so that we can foster an adaptable, a robust and adaptable educational environment. And so let me start, and because the first thing was, what is resilience even? And I have two different descriptions. The first one is just from the dictionary. It said, resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. So you see, the key word there is withstand, and another one is recover quickly. That means it's not just recover. You can recover over 20 years, and you can recover in 3 months. So it is the capacity to recover quickly, to withstand difficulty, and to recover quickly from difficulties. According to the American Psychological Association, they said it is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustments to external and internal demands. In other words, it is a process. Resilience in itself. And there's another word there that I like. Remember, the other one said recover quickly. This one says, apart from recovering quickly, you are successful in adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. When people tell you you won't have problems, I don't think you should be saying amen to that, because there is no human being in this life that is not going to go through life with problems. And the main thing about the problems is that they pray that you have the strength and the resilience to be able to recover quickly, to adapt successfully to all difficult or challenging life experience in a lot of ways. So that's what we are all about here. So how can we, as educationists, how do we treat this topic? How do we manage it in our schools? We've gone through a lot, isn't it? But let me just say this. You see, if we are resilient, that is, we adapt quickly, we adapt successfully to whatever difficult or challenging situations that face us, it directly impacts the stability and effectiveness of our schools. The stability of our schools, private schools, they are long-term stability. Public schools are long-term stability and the effectiveness. And our effectiveness, of course, is that we are turning out young people who are fit for the life that they are going to lead. It is very, very vital. It's very vital that we understand what resilience is. It's very vital because it will help us in preparing our students for the future. We must prepare our students to be resilient. Our own biological children, we have to help them to be resilient because they will face key issues in life. And let me tell you some of the things that you normally face with, when we talk about resilience. The first thing is you have to be able to cope with uncertainty. How many top difficult times you have faced. Somebody describes the times that we live in as they call it a VUCA time. VUCA means it's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, and it is ambiguous. And it is very difficult to understand what is coming next. There are constant policy changes. There's economic fluctuations. At the beginning of this year, of 2024, how much are we buying fuel? How much are we buying it now? So see the economic situation. There's technological advances. There's AI. Do you know there was somebody who was talking, and they were able to simulate the voice of the president, saying all sorts of things. I was shocked. Why would the president talk like this? But it was AI. So AI can be used for good. It can be used for evil. So there are technological advances, and there are societal shifts. What parents used to be ready to take before, they're not ready to take now. What society took as just, values have changed, whether we like it or not. And I'm not asking you to say, is it a good value or a bad value? It has changed. It has changed, and we are not going back to the way things were in the past. And so we have to adapt to all these changes. All these changes. Let me go over them again. Government policy changes and regulation, economic fluctuations, technological changes, societal shifts. We must adapt effectively to these changes without compromising the quality of education that we are offering our students. The second thing is that we must learn to manage crises. Did we know that something like COVID-19 would ever happen? Look at how the whole world shut down because of COVID-19, a virus that you cannot see with the naked eye, and it's still there, and it's still killing people. Not as much as it did before, but it's still there. There are also other things, natural disasters, political instability that are disrupting education systems. She introduced me. I used to be the Commissioner for Education in Lagos State. And that was when we had COVID. That was when we had NSAS. Everything was so turbulent and unbelievable. When we had to shut down, nobody understood this thing. So we shut down schools like the whole world did. And that led, of course, to a lot of suffering as children stayed at home. They were not learning. They were subject to all sorts of harassment. It was a very difficult time. But you see, we had to be resilient. We had to enable our schools to recover quickly, maintain the continuity of school, and support students and staff during crisis. If you will recollect, many schools just jumped on to online teaching and learning. For those who couldn't afford it, now we had to say, what are we going to do? The state had not invested sufficiently in technology, so we had to run around. We started with the lowest form of technology, which was radio and TV. And people gave us we had free TV for over 1.5 years. Free TV, free radio. So we had about 2 hours on 3 stations, which was a fantastic support, And throughout that time, we were broadcasting every day. We had a curriculum. Of course, we had to do many things. We later found out that some children can't even afford radio. So we had to start running around looking for people who would support us and buy radios. Eventually, we had to, from there, we had to move to online, where people gave us portals, where we were able to ask children to join, where we had banks, individuals, and people giving us this small device, a phone-like device, a tablet with features, a phone with features that we could give a lot of the children, especially those in underserved communities. But that is resilience. Respond quickly to challenges and respond successfully. The other reason why we have to also manage resilience is we have to support mental well-being, mental health and well-being. Because all these things, what we are just seeing now is that it has given the children so much mental trauma. Even when they were learning, staying at home alone, not going anywhere, was very traumatic for the children. And I recollect one of my children had twins during COVID. These children never saw anybody apart from me and the other grandma once or twice for like 1.5 years. Till they were about 1.5, 2, when they were walking, was the first time they went out of the house and saw people. They were so excited. They were so excited. But we could see that this thing had really traumatized them. And it traumatized teachers as well. Teachers who had to work online. Many told me they were almost burnt out. Long hours teaching online. Long hours. Because once you start working online, look, hey, today is Saturday, we're working, right? Before, we would have to go to a venue, have to provide lunch and everything. But those days, during COVID, we all went online. And it led to significant stress I will tell you, as a human being, I had COVID 3 times. 3 times during that period. I was sick. But I kept working. For one of them, I just sat in my sitting room and just continued working. So we have to build resilience to be able to cope with such emotional stress. Yes, you have to have the emotional strength to manage stress. Then again, we have to do that because we have to be resilient, because we have to ensure that all children have a chance to do well. Because resilient education system can manage with disparities so that marginalized, disadvantaged, children living in poverty, girl child, and so we can build systems such that they receive consistent education, even at the worst of times. So those are the reasons why. So I'll summarize them. There are 4 reasons that I gave you. We have to learn to be resilient because we must learn to cope with uncertainty and change. We must learn to manage crises like COVID. We must promote the mental health and well-being of every member of our community, and we must ensure equity so that every child has a chance to succeed. Now, having said that, what do we do about leadership? As a leader, during such times, when you have challenges and so on, you have to be able to make effective decisions under pressure. There's a lot of pressure. When we brought out radio, somebody abused me so much, said, useless woman, are your children learning with radio? But this was the first thing we had to do so that the children went back to learning again. While we were underground preparing other strategies. If I had allowed all those people's comments, we would have derailed. But I didn't. I just said, just watch us. We'll keep working. But you must be able to make effective decisions under severe pressure at times. Inspire confidence. That is, your staff must see you looking happy, looking ebullient. You must never be cast down because they're all looking at you. And once you have a sorrowful look, a frightened look, and so on your face, you will transmit it to all of them. So even in times of difficulty and challenge, you must remain upbeat. You must remain positive. You must have a happy demeanor. You must inspire confidence. And then you have to create a culture of collaboration and support. The idea right now, and I like using ideas, examples from myself. Right now, I'm setting up schools for children who are in disadvantaged and marginalized communities. They're not paying fees, so I'm raising money to pay their fees because you still have to pay teachers and so on. You see, but how did I come to that? Initially, when I was going to do this, I was going to buy land and build a school. So I have a small team of young people. And one of them said, please, ma, how many schools will you build? One school, 300 million. By the time you build, equip, furnish, buy land, and so on in Yaba. How many will you build? You won't build many, but you want to scale. You want this thing to scale across the country. Then we have to look for a more interesting solution. She said, in my own church, for example, this is a very young girl, not an educationist. She said, in my own church, we pay money to a church in the high density community near us, and we use their facilities during the week. And that's how I started appealing to churches, and some of them have given me their facilities, because if you watch it Monday to Friday, nothing is happening there. Even if they have programs, it's in the evening. So the whole facility is lying fallow. So I said, okay, come and do your school there. And that's how we did it. And we are trying to see how we can scale it, So the main thing is listen to your people, collaborate with them, and be able to make decisions. And another thing that you have to do is that you have to foster innovation. You see, when you are resilient, you will foster innovation. There'll be growth. There'll be excitement. You see how that young girl told me, no, you can't do it we have to do it differently. Then I said, what about teachers? Where will I get teachers from? I won't be able to provide a fancy school with AC in every classroom, blah, blah, blah. And some teachers from top schools will not want to work. They said, go and get people who have volunteered to work in underserved communities like Teach for Nigeria Fellows. And so they gave me others. And that's how I got my teachers. They never even asked for such things because they are people who were working in underserved and marginalized communities, working with NGOs. So it makes you think differently. So again, for your schools to be resilient, you must encourage creativity and innovation. It's a major challenge, but it's great. You must develop new teaching methods. new curricular and technologies. What if I tell you that the children in one of my schools are all hawkers? Early in the morning, they go and buy, whether it's pure water or whatever, and they hawk all day. So I had to beg their parents, okay, let my teachers go and buy the water for them. Let them be learning. Then, after school, they will go and hawk. If that's what you want. I can't stop them from hawking because they have to make money for their parents. But I can help them and get them to learn at the same time. So again, it came from all these my young people around me. And you know that in an innovative environment, in a resilient environment, the children will do well because schooling is uninterrupted. They continue to learn despite the external challenges, and the school is adaptable, teaching new ways of teaching. Look at when we went online and we had to use the radio. Many of our teachers do not know how to teach and not see an audience. So we had even the radio program gave us, did training for our teachers on how to teach when there's no audience. So things like that, So I think resilience is so important that we just all have to develop it to build systems that don't just react to challenges. You shouldn't just always say, COVID, another COVID. Right now, we should be ready that there could be another COVID. There could be another pandemic. Then what will we do? But, we are better equipped now. We have the knowledge of COVID. But we should be ready to move very quickly should there be any problem again. So let's look at the role of leaders. I've told you one of your roles is how you look, is the decision you make, is how you empower individuals, how you create an environment. You see, a leader should create an environment that supports recovery and growth during and after adversity. Because there will be adversity. Don't be telling your people there will be none. There will be. But when there's adversity, one thing that you have to do is to empower your people so that they are adaptable, and you create deliberately, intentionally an environment that will support people recovering and growing, both during the adversity and after the adversity. Because after adversity, you have to try and go back to normal again. So the first thing is you must have a resilient vision. Your vision must be resilient. Your vision must speak to the fact that resilience is one of your core values. You should put it as a core value where you put things like integrity and so on. Put resilience, because that shows that that no matter what comes our way, we will move. We will react. We will move successfully. We will adapt. We will come up with innovative ideas. We will change our situation deliberately. It should be a core value. Focus on your long-term goals as well. Put it as a long-term goal that consistently working on our ability to stay resilient. Because there's a tendency, after COVID, we all forgot. The station took back their, did not give us free time again, and so on and so forth. But there were some things that just didn't change. They had changed our culture, one of which is learning online, which is what we are doing today, isn't it? So one thing a leader has to do is establish that vision with resilience built into it. Then I've said you should model resilient behavior. You yourself must be ready to adapt to challenging situations. No matter what happens, you don't get down. And many situations can get you down. Many situations can get you down. Life is not always on an upward trajectory. Sometimes something happens and it wears you down. But you must, through it all, show that you're adaptable and you can cope. So you must remain calm and composed under pressure. Because when you do that, you provide a sense of stability and people are confident that it can't be so bad. She's coping, And of course, one thing as a leader that you have to do, you have to, like I said, regulate your behavior, demonstrate your adaptability. Demonstrate it yourself. The reason why I had COVID was not good. I would never recommend it to anybody, but it was mainly because I went everywhere. I went into communities. All the people I was working with, the schools I was working with, the teachers I was supporting, and so I kept going out just to see that they were able to do what they were. I would never recommend it because I was just lucky that I did not have underlying conditions, but I still had one of the attacks was quite bad. So you must regulate yourself. And then you must continue to learn. Learn from failure. You can learn a lot from failure. You see, from some of the failures that, some of the policies that we tried to introduce in Lagos State that didn't work, I have learned so much. And that is why I started up this school. In this school, all the failures, it's not one school, it's a number of schools, but for now I have two and I'm working on the others. But one thing I have learned from the Lagos State about teaching children who are living in challenging circumstances is that you cannot teach them the same old way. You have to be ready to support them, because the reality of their life is that they cannot pay attention in school. Maybe they have not eaten at home. They don't dress, they don't have clothes to wear, proper clothes to wear. Maybe they have to, some leave home around 5:36 to go and sweep somewhere to clean. You have to be adaptable. You have to keep learning. Learn from your failures. You must have a growth mindset. You look at that child and say, I'm going to help you. You are going to become what you are supposed to become. Things are tough now, but I'm going to help you on that journey of life. And that is one thing I have learned from the failure of our systems. In public schools in Lagos, where we felt that every child just comes to school, every child can afford to be for, every child can buy food. But no, there are children living in very difficult circumstances indeed. And another thing you have to do as a leader is you must build a supportive culture. I've said it, encouraging collaboration, working with your people. Let your staff feel free to talk to you, feel safe. I prefer to use the word safe, to express their concerns, to take risks. Sometimes you are not there. They should be able to take risks and innovate without fear of judgment or retaliation. Even when things go bad, you should be able to call them to a corner and say, you did well. This is what you could have done. Thank you very much. Now let's see how we can, repair the damage and so on. So you must allow your staff, build a supportive culture in your organization deliberately, where your staff feel free. The day I knew I was comfortable was when I was the head of a school, and one of the teachers said, come and watch me teaching. I need you to come and watch me teaching in class, Mrs. Adefisayo. I'm going to be teaching so. Because, do you know, I had to go. I had to write my, the class wasn't perfect, and I said my bit, but it was a good class. And it was obvious he had learned a lot, and he was reading a lot. He was applying these principles in class. The students were enjoying their learning. I had a fantastic time in his class. So, or he had the courage to call me, knowing I'm very critical, to say, come and see my class. So that is because there's a safe environment where he can express himself. Then you have to empower your staff. It's not just giving them a safe environment. You have to build their capacity. You have to continue training them and giving them opportunities for growth, so that they too can build their own resilience. You must delegate and trust your people. Delegation is hard at times, but you must learn to delegate and trust. Allow them to take ownership of the task, because what you do is that you build confidence and competence. As a leader, you can't do everything. But as a leader, everybody thinks you did it. There was a school I worked in, the WAEC results were very good that year. The previous year, they were bad. This year, it was good. My second year, everybody said, I'm so good, I'm so perfect. Was I the one that taught physics and English and maths? No. You have to delegate. Another thing is you have to communicate effectively as a leader. You have to be transparent. COVID has happened. We have a problem in the school. A child died in the swimming pool. A child, something happened. Parents are not, this is what has happened. Be very timely and honest. Be very timely and honest about challenges, about solutions, about the progress, so that you reduce uncertainty. And then, of course, through this, you can inspire hope. When you tell your people that it's bad now, but we're going to change. We are going to change things. We are going to move around the corner. And when we move around that corner, it's going to be bright. And they will believe you, even in very difficult times, especially when you are leading from the front and they can see that you are leading from the front. Not that you stay in the comfort of the office and be shouting at people, And then you've got to strengthen the system itself, so that you've worked on your people, you worked on yourself. Now the system itself. You must have systems, policies, and structures that can quickly respond to change. That is why schools must be invest in technology and so on, in human beings, in finances, so that you can navigate disruptions effectively, because there will be disruptions. I worked in a school once where we woke up one day and 14 teachers had resigned, because their former head teacher had opened a new school. 14 teachers on day one. That was tough. But we have to navigate that disruption very, 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 very quickly. Because you are not going to be telling parents that, oh, I'm sorry, this bad woman, she took away students. That's why I don't have a teacher. She took away my teachers. That's why I don't have teachers. No. That's not none of their business. You've got to hurry up and cover up for that. And then another thing that you have to do, so you build in the policies, you build in the structures so that they can respond, like I said. So that you have policies in place, you have the structure in place, you have the finances, you've invested in technology and so on, other solutions, so that at any time you can navigate. And then you have to focus on the well-being of your people, supporting, I've said, their mental health, encourage your teachers to have work-life balance. They should not be working all the time. They should not be working all the time. I've talked about creativity, learning from challenges, and I've told you to build, now I want to say this one, build a strong internal network of your teachers and so on, so that they work together. You know, they said this thing called, I've forgotten, is very difficult to break. The more people who are with you on this journey, the better you will be and the more successful. And then build external stakeholders. You know, I told you that when COVID happened, we had individuals. I was the first contributor. So I led the way to buying the radios. So I told all my senior staff, I've contribute your bit. Then we started appealing to outsiders. So we built a coalition of banks, insurance companies, schools, individuals, retired head teachers in Lagos State, retired, all sorts of people came together and said, these children must not suffer. The community, you are creating an extra support system. And of course, you must continue to monitor and provide feedback. Always monitor. See that it's effective. That should anything happen, will this happen? Will we work? And then provide feedback. So in summary, a resilient leader is a role model, is a strategist, is a facilitator. And doing this, they'll build really robust organizations. So I've mentioned a lot how you build your institutional, integrate resilience into your teacher training programs. I've been looking at teacher training programs that include resilience, telling teachers what resilience is and how we need to react. Because many teachers are reactive. They just wait. If the thing happens to them, okay, they react. No, you should teach your people to be proactive so that even before anything happens, they are moving. Of course, there are many challenges. I have 3 or so minutes left. There are many challenges. There's resource limitations. Maybe there's not enough money. Remember how I said in Lagos State we didn't have resources. Remember what I said about my own school, where I don't have the money for everything. We feed the children 2 days a week, but other people have been helping too as well. We feed the children, we give them a good meal 2 days a week, but other people have been helping. So there are resource limitations. There's resistance to change. When we first started, even with the radio, some people are like, it can't happen, you can't do it. People were scornful, people made fun, but we just went ahead, Just continue to use community resources, continue to build your network, continue to communicate and tell your people. They will believe you eventually, because there will always be naysayers. There will always be people who will sit on the fence. There will always be people who will be against whatever you are doing. You've just got to be resilient as well, and to say and to prove them wrong. You have to prove them wrong in what you do. Okay? So in conclusion, I want you, as all of us as educational leaders, even to our children in the classroom, to teach them to be resilient. When things, I just came, my granddaughter, she told me one thing, when she did something, I said, stop it. She said, Grandma, you are mean to me. I don't like people telling me not to do things. I said, no, you don't like it, but it's going to happen. That is life. You have to take the good with the bad. So when I'm telling you, this is because I love you and I want you to do what is right. She just sat there looking at me. So you have to teach your children and so that you drill it to them too, that sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad. When it is bad, you take it and you try and look for strategies to manage it. When it is good, you thank God. And also look for strategies to manage it as well. So I think there are actionable steps that we can all take here, in that we can go back. It's a call to action. Prioritize resilience, even for yourself. So, it starts from yourself as a leader, building up your own self as a leader. Then building your staff, then building the community around you. And in the center of it all, building those children so that the children are resilient. The children face circumstances and they remember. I had a student when I was still working in an expensive private school who went to school in Canada. Very troublesome. He and I had a lot of clashes. One day he called me from Canada. He said, Mr. Devsayo, do you know I had to call you? I'm the neatest boy in the school. I said, are you the only person in the school? Did they not find another? How can you be the neatest? Or you this boy? He said, whenever I wake up, I don't want to do my bed. I always hear, Mrs. Adefisayo is in the boys' hostel. Mrs. Adefisayo is coming into the boys' hostel. Dress up and do what you are supposed to do. He said, so I will hurry up and make my bed. So you see that, over many years, after many years, my voice is still ringing in his ears. So you have to continuously teach it, continuously communicate, continuously role model it, show who you are. Like I said, be a strategist, be a role model, be a visionary. It's a call to action. And it's something that we can, because let me tell you, it will continue to happen. We are in difficult times already. Many students, many schools are losing enrollment. Why? The parents can no longer afford it. So they are taking their children to poor, and that is very traumatic for children. So that was my alarm sounding, and I hope that I made sense in the time that you gave me to just tell you my thoughts about this, and I will take questions, of course. Let me end it there. Thank you very much. So our MC, our moderator, I'm done. You gave me 45 minutes. I wanted a lot of time for question and answer.
Thank you very, very much, ma'am. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. Either virtually or physically, please. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very much. So the floor is open for questions. If there's any question, please let's ask mommy before she goes offline.
You can ask me questions about a situation you faced and how you think you would face it if you, now you know more about this. Then how would I advise you to face it? I'm ready to take any question. That's why I said, let me finish early.
Yes, so questions, anyone?
Somebody is trying to talk, but the link is very poor. Maybe you can write it down. We can hardly hear you.
Yes, boss. Use the chat box.
Write your question in the chat box. I can't hear you.
Madam Clement, you were trying to say something.
Okay. I don't want you to thank me. I just want to I just want us to have a case or two where we talk about a situation that you two face so that we can sort of solve a problem together. If you don't give me, I will say my own. Well, I think somebody has removed mute. Ibironke, do you want to say something? You've removed the mute.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a co-host.
Okay. Okay, you're a co-host. All right. Okay.
So, ma, let me ask this.
Please.
If you are in school environment, your head, like the accounting officer of the school, accommodating is not welcoming. Does not want you to say anything whenever she's talking. How best can you handle such situation? She just wants whatever she say to be the final.
I'm sure that is what most of us face, isn't it? I'm sure that is a situation that is common to many people. Like you have a boss or a leader who does not want to listen to what you are saying. I've had such leaders as well. I think you have to distinguish yourself. What I would always do under such circumstances is that I would do my job and I would do it phenomenally well. She would start to see that there's something happening to this young woman. And I do have many, like there was a young girl in one of our schools. She was really in one of our public schools, and she was really teaching the students. She was doing all sorts of things. And then when exam came, she with her own money went to print the exam question, and gave each child a copy. The principal almost killed her. That no, you have to write it on the board. You are just showing off. You want to so, you know. And so the girl was so discouraged. But I now went to visit the school, and we were, and I saw her question paper. I said, "What? You did this?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Fantastic." Blah blah blah. Do you know? After I left, the principal had to call her to come and teach the others how to use the computer to write their own questions. So sometimes you can't fight your head teacher. If you try that, she has too much power. She will make sure that you really go through a lot. But I would always do my work well. I will excel. I will stand out, so that even she herself will say, what can I do? Innovations as a mid-level management. I have a question here without looking forward to see. Again, it's something similar. You just have to excel. You cannot be one of their ordinary teachers in that school. You have to be an outstanding person, so that after a while, even the head teacher will start to notice, and they may be bypassing the mid people that, who is that young girl? She's doing a lot. You know, we have some young teachers in public school in Lagos State who are winning Multina Teacher of the Year, who are winning Teacher of the Year in Nigeria, despite the fact that they have very difficult and uncooperative senior management in their schools. So I think a lot of the things that you have to do is continue to do your work, teach your students, be outstanding, learn a lot of things. Remember when we were doing that radio thing, we now had to look for one of our teachers who used to do a blog. She used to talk. So we said, this girl can talk. Then one of our teachers, you know, I didn't even tell this because they started off with using WhatsApp to teach the students. One of our teachers was teaching on Telegraph. I too was attending her class, a math teacher. Every day she would put bed sheets on the wall and say good morning and so on, and start the lesson, math lesson on Telegram. That was when so this Telegram exists. We started copying her. She started communicating with me. I started talking with her. So you've got to distinguish yourself. Don't just be one of them and just say, what will I do? For the sake of those students, be the best teacher you can possibly be. I'm sorry, I can't tell you to go and report to your head teacher. Don't do that. I think what you have to do is to get the attention of your head teacher so that they know how good you are. There's Mr. Folabi Omotesho, whose hand is up.
Please unmute your mic.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, my question is in terms of resource management and making resources available in schools. I quite love what you're doing in terms of the kind of school that you manage and being able to get resources for those kind of schools. But now the question is, in a school where, of course, it's a paying school, and you know that financially the school is not stable, even though, yes, we of course collect money from parents, and you can't explain to parents that resources are not available. What avenues would you advise that one can try to get those resources, as in knowing that the school may not be financially buoyant enough to afford it, but they are necessary and is needed in the school? What avenues would you advise?
Well, let me tell you that I always use my community. You told me that the resources in my school, I don't have the money, the quantum of money to single-handedly run. So I've had a lot of support. Even my niece gave me all her books. She's now in university, all her books from. So using the resources of the community, using even the resources of the parents, the PTA, you can call the parents. Parents want to support. Yes, they pay school fees, but they are still usually willing to support when you tell them that, oh, we need to do this, we need to do, and they like to feel important. You can call parents, you can call your community. I would always work with parents. Even very, very expensive schools work with parents to donate. Parents from very, very expensive schools where they are making money and so on, they still donate. They still donate, they still support the school. So you got to receive the support of the community. Like, you know, when I told you my school, I got the support of the community, the people in the church. Some may come in the morning and just come with drinks for the children, you know, and so on. That has reduced costs to us. So there are ways that you work with your community, with your parents, and so on, to get more resources. And then financial management. Many schools don't manage their finances well. Let me tell you, the school fees they are charging is ridiculous and cannot pay. So that is one thing. And I know that you cannot increase school fees to parents, but you've got to be very careful about financial management. Sometimes they spend the money on things that are irrelevant. So again, you've got to look inward at how are we managing our own finances. Thank you. I hope that helps.
Yes.
Indiana Basi Achibong, you had your hand up.
Okay, so you can speak.
Please, it's echoing. That means that there's somebody is listening on 2 devices. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the section. Really grateful. Though came in late, I just want to ask this question because all what you're talking about is
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you.
How do okay, maybe I should just type it.
No, say now it's better, so try again.
Okay, so my question goes this way: how do you manage student that threatens you in class? Because all what you're talking about is positively impacting your student or your pupil in the classroom. So how do you manage such scenario? And especially when the school management are like, you just have to, because the child is from a rich home, wealthy home, and you have to, so that they don't, he doesn't leave the school for them. So how do you manage such scenario?
That's a very tough one, because the first question I was going to ask you is the school management not taking your side? Because if the school management is not on your side, it's a fairly difficult situation to manage. But again, it is managed. It can't be managed because the child is a child. The child may be going through some trauma. And again, I'll use my own experience. From a child who was so difficult, so naughty, I was going to expel. I was actually the principal. So I was going to expel this boy. But my daughter called me and said, you can't expel him. I said, why? She said, he has not seen his mother for about 4 years, and he has not seen his father too. I said, and he has not seen his house. Does he not go home? She said, no, that the parents are fighting. And so what they've done is every holiday, from a rich home, of course, every holiday he was traveling abroad. There'll be somebody waiting to take him. So he hardly went home. He would go somewhere, stay a day or two, and fly. Camp in America, camp in Canada, camp here, camp there, but never to his home, and he had not seen his mother. So when I was going to expel him, I called the father. He said all sorts of things to me. And if I send him home, if anything happens to him, he will fight me. I said, oh, who is this guy? So I now had to sit down and think that I will befriend the boy, which I did. It took time because he was still naughty and I was still angry with him at times. But he became so close to me, even up till today. Very, very close. So that he calmed down. And I would always say, what's the matter? Take it easy. Let's look at the big picture. And we discuss a lot of things. Sometimes you come, can I play with your laptop, with your tablets, play with your iPad, play with it, and so on. But it took time, and it was not easy. And in your case, it's not easy because the management is not taking your side. So in your case, you've got to find out why. Why is he behaving like that? Why is the child, he's not mad? There's usually an underlying reason. And it's maybe home circumstances. Because people are rich doesn't mean the children are happy. The child may be a child who is subject to abuse. It may not be by the parents, maybe by the uncle living with them. It may be by, because the parents have gone to work all day. So I think, that's Falabi Omotesho. Thank you. Every child is a champion that will not give up on him or her. That was a TED talk by Dr. I've forgotten her name. I think you should go and look at it. Because when a child misbehaves like that, there is usually a reason. There is a reason. So I think if I were you, I would try and find out why. I can call the child. What's the matter? Let's talk. Because there's usually, even his classmates may know. Because was it not my daughter who called me and said, you can't expel him. He has nowhere to go. There's no home to go to. You can't expel him. You can't suspend him. So I think it's time for us to start to look at each child as an individual. And as he says, every child needs a champion. I attended a course once, and they told us that usually, sometimes as a teacher, do you know you are the only person between that child and failure in life? The child not being a failure can be because they met you and you turned around their circumstances. By sheer patience, by sheer understanding, by sheer determination. It's not easy. Thank you, Rita Pearson. It's not easy, but please, I think it's something that I think I would do that. Why are you misbehaving? Tell me why you are. I've had a child who the teacher left the class and the child peed inside the teacher's water bottle. Is that good? So when the teacher came back, picked the water bottle to drink it, and the whole class shouted, that he shouldn't drink it. Why? Why would a child be so sadistic as to treat a teacher like that? So we face all sorts of situations. It's not an easy job, this teaching. But if your heart is open, you should be able to manage it. I'm sorry you are going through this, but try and find out. Try and befriend the child. The child is a child and is probably suffering from something. Peter Adisa, what would you do as a school counselor in a situation where the students are more than the counselors and resources are not available to facilitate effective counseling? There will always be more students than counselors. Can never be one-to-one. So there will always be more. So you are going to just have to be innovative and creative and say, how will I manage this? I've had counselors who had classes who came to me and said, I want to be teaching a period on bullying, on sexual harassment, on this and that. So again, think of how you can make your counseling easier, how you can get your own resources. Go online and do some research on how you would, what resources can I make available? How can I get free resources online? How can I work with these free resources and help my students to get better? There are so many things that you can do. Thank you. So I think those are the two people who asked questions. I think the chat, and I've been watching the chat all the while. So I want to thank you all. I think my 45 minutes are just about up, and I've had a fantastic time with you. I want to motivate you all again. This job is not easy, right? Nobody said it was, but it's beautiful. And the rewards from it are incalculable, and they are even eternal. It's a spiritual job. They will say, someone told me, don't call it a vocation. Teachers have to, I have the private sector mindset that I don't like calling it a vocation. It's a vocation, but I do want teachers to also have a good living, have a good salary, to be able to live well, look after their own children as well. But I find that in whatever circumstance you find yourself, you can actually do some things to change around the situation. You can learn, you can grow, you can go on. I do a lot of learning online, and many things that I learned, and even resilience, even to be able to carry my people through very unhappy times and so on. I would do a lot of research and thinking about it. So I urge us all to enjoy this job and grow on the job. You never know where you will reach, and you never know where your impact will reach. So I want to say thank you. God bless you all. Thank you for listening to me.
Mommy, thank you very much, ma. Please, let's appreciate Mommy. Thank you, ma. It's an honor having you with us.
Thank you very much. It's an honor being with you. You are doing well. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. God bless you. Thank you, ma.
Okay. So good night.
Wow, what a night. I hope you're all feeling inspired as I am.
Ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our panelists as we start the panel session.
Okay, yeah, here. Clap, 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 clap.
Okay, so I'll be introducing the panelists. I'll start with Mr. Folabi Omotesho. Please hope my voice is not echoing.
It is. I don't know. Are you using two devices? Are you using two devices?
I'm far away from it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better
It's
now.
better.
Okay, so I'll be introducing the panelists. I'll start with Mr. Folabi Omotesho. Mr. Folabi Omotesho is the head of school, Rock House School, Lekki. He is a passionate advocate for student-centered education and a certified coach for both adolescents and parents. Thank you and welcome, Mr. Folabi. I'll go over
Thank you very much.
Mr. Toyosi Babatunde. He is also the school head of Pampas Private School, Alaka.
Toyosi is a lady, not a man.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Toyosi Babatunde. She's the head of school Pampas Private School, Alaka. A global parenting coach, wellness advocate, and champion of peak productivity in schools. Welcome, Mrs. Toyosi.
Thank you.
So, the last but not the least, our very own Mrs. Shola Adeola, aka Sojibra. As we all know, she's an instructional school leader, a digital citizenship advocate from Caleb School International, Surulere. She is one of the Africa Top 100 career women. Mrs. Shola, you are very much welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
So let's start with the panel questions. I'll start with lesson in overcoming challenges. And the question goes to Mrs. Toyosi Babatunde. Mrs. Toyosi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the question goes thus. Can you share a key challenge your school faced and what lesson teachers and aspiring leaders can learn from your approach to overcoming it? Can you share a key challenge your school faced and what lessons teachers and aspiring leaders can? Mrs. Toyosi, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. First, I want to say a big thank you to Ms. Shola Adiola Sojibra for having me here. And a good evening to everyone, especially I esteemed Mrs. Adefisayo. Good evening, everyone. There are many problems that I can talk about, but I'm going to focus on one in particular because I think it's something that a lot of us might encounter at some point or the other if we haven't already encountered it. So it was at a point when we decided that the school needed to go paperless as much as possible. Now, before that time, I had witnessed how much paper we use as a school. It was almost as if we were running a business center. We were always making copies, worksheets, and all that. Now, as much as that was helpful, it was also wasteful. And for those of us who have been in school leadership for a long time, we realize that funds are not so excess to throw around in schools. Even when you are making a lot of money in quotes and you are broken even, there are a lot of things to spend money on. You have your capital expenditure and all that. So for me, seeing that was some sort of waste and we needed to work on it. Now, teachers have been used to using paper the way they have been using paper. So at that time, we were using about 50 cartons in a term. Like, I'm talking of A4 packs, we're using 50 in one term. That was a lot of money. And so we announced that we're going paperless, and a lot of people felt it was not possible. Now, one of the things that we submitted in hard copy were lesson plans. Lesson plans, scheme of learning. So every term we'll generate the scheme of learning for that term. We'll print out lesson plans for the whole term. We'll print out the list of topics for the whole term. We'll print out the teacher's appraisal. There's one in the teacher's file. There's one that goes again into what we call the teacher's folder. So everything in the teacher's folder had to be printed and submitted to the head teacher's office. And so the first thing I announced was that all those things were going to be submitted digitally. And there were questions of, oh, how do we go about it? It's not possible. And it was simple. So I said, you print these things from your laptops, from your computers. So simple, don't print them. Put everything in a zip folder, send to your leader, and then your leader will zip everything for the section and submit. It was tough at first. It was so funny because to me it was black and white. It was straightforward. To them it wasn't, because they were used to print. But somehow we were able to achieve that. And then the next thing was newsletters were printed and sent home. So that was the next try. No more hard copy newsletters. Newsletters will now be in soft copy. Again, they were, will parents read? Eventually, it happened. In one of the other schools I'd worked as well, when we're going to go paperless, one of the things that changed was that results also stopped going out in hard copies. They will only go out in soft copies. So eventually, the first term we started this, we went from 50 cartons to 38 in that term. My boss was ecstatic. In fact, I think I got a bonus for that. Like, you mean we can use less than 50? Because even the 50 was as if we're managing the 50. And by the end of that implementation, we had dropped to 24 cartons in a term. Now, that 24, that was even summer term when we first achieved the 24. The 24 included papers. No, I think that was Easter. Either Easter or something. But they included papers that students used during the holiday for holiday classes, those who prepare for checkpoint and other exams. The 24 included those cartons of papers that we used for them. Normally, after the 50, we would have to buy an extra 5 for the holiday classes. We didn't have to do that. Now, what did it take? Number one, you have to be patient, because there'll be kickbacks when something is going to change. People are used to doing things in a certain way. And there's that thing about the human personality that loves the familiar. So the first thing is that people will kick against it. People will protest. People will say, oh, no. This is not working for us. This cannot happen. This is how we've always done it. When things like that come up, you need to remember that their issues are not with you. They don't have a problem with you. They have a problem with the change. So don't personalize anything at that point. So number one, be patient. Number two, don't take anything personally. Just understand that people are having issues with the change in itself. Number three, you need to learn to take baby steps. Remember, I said we first did one thing. So we first made an internal change before we made a change that would affect the whole school. Do you understand? So take baby steps and then lead by example. So what it also meant was that I would no longer send hard copy memos to staff. I would only send my memos via email. And then, so I had a weekly newsletter. Please mute your mic. Thank you. I would have a weekly. So there was a weekly memo that would go out to staff, reminding them of their timelines for the week and all the other information that were needed. That did not change the fact that we'll still have our announcements during staff briefing every morning, but there was that consistency in ensuring that teachers got the information they needed all digitally. So be patient, don't take anything personally, take baby steps, lead by example, and then review. So now one of the changes we made was that when comments were being submitted for results, the first time we did it in soft copy, but it was an issue for the vetters. So for that, when we came back to the drawing table, we reviewed, we realized that, okay, that may not be the best option. So for that, I considered to having that one done in hard copies, and it made it easier for the entire team. So don't be afraid to review. And when you review, don't be afraid to make changes or to go back a few steps. If you see that this change is not working or is not working as it should. So I'm going to stop there. I'll just review. Number 1, be patient. 2, don't take anything personally. 3, take baby steps. 4, lead by example. 5, review regularly. And 6, don't be afraid to take some steps back if needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Toyosi. Thank you. I learned that you have to be patient when making change and do not take anything personal. Then take a baby step. Thank you very much. So over to Mr. Folabi Motosho. Mr. Folabi, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, so I'll be asking you question. Yes, I can hear you. I'll be asking you a question on innovation for classroom. Innovations from classroom. What innovations can you put into classroom? So what advice would you give teachers who want to integrate innovative practices into their teaching, even with limited resources? What advice would you give teachers who want to integrate innovative practices into their teaching, even with limited resources? That means even when they don't have any resources at all, what advice can you give to those teachers? Over to you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to talk based on personal experience and, of course, other people's experiences. And if I will add to what the last speakers talked about when you are facing challenges, one of the things that I've learned to do is to be someone that is hands-on. I can do a lot of things. I learn to do at least know a little about everything, know something about everything. It always helps you to be able to navigate challenges, because sometimes if you don't have the idea, people may make you believe that things are not possible. But when you have the idea, you are confident of the fact that you've done this before. This is possible. It is possible to work through this. Now, in terms of the question of how to innovate in a classroom, I think the first thing is, as a teacher, be a continuous learner. You have to continuously learn. I grew from the position of a teacher into leadership, and I learned to innovate because I am a continuous learner. I'm an avid learner. If you continue to research, there are new ways of doing several things. And you see, one of the things I always tell teachers is, when you have this growth mindset and you know that anything is possible, you know that when you have a will for something, there will always be a way, even when it seems as if the resources are not so much available, right? There will always be a way. Now, one of the things I do is, when you have you have a lesson you want to teach, and you think of new ways. You see, I always say that you are the greatest tool that you have, beyond the resources that we are talking about, beyond the probably the technology that we're talking about. You, as the teacher, you are the greatest tool that you have. So the first thing is to look inward, look at yourself. What can I do in this situation? And that brings out your own creativity. That brings out your own innovative mindset. So when you think about what you want to do, even with the least resources that you have, there's something we call the MVP, minimum viable product. What's the minimum that I can go down to? What's the minimum that will still be viable for me to be able to teach this class, even with the absence of resources? And when you search, there will always be an answer. That's one of the things you see. there are different lessons and there are different things that you want to do in class. So I will not give you specifically what you should do or what you will need to do. But what I'm saying is that, okay, for example, I've seen a situation. I was in a situation when I wanted to teach a class and I needed to prepare worksheets. And I'm in a situation where the school machines were not working. We do not have enough papers to print any worksheet. And probably personally, then I didn't have enough money to go to any what do you call it, center to go and print. What did I do? I took worksheets myself. I took foolscap sheets and I wrote it out. I did an handwritten worksheet for my students. The bottom line is what I want them to do will be done. So it doesn't stop at, oh, I don't have this, so I can't do it. I don't have this, so I can't do it. If you think deep enough, there will always be an answer to everything. So the first thing is that you as a person must be a continuous learner, be an avid learner, research as much as you can. I remember when I was in a state where most things are not happening the way it should happen. I was busy researching what is happening in China, what is happening in Finland, what is happening in this. And when I bring ideas, people were like, where did you get this idea from? Because I was researching, because I was learning. So ideas are always out there. If you don't search enough, you won't find them. And that's one of the things that I always encourage, that teachers, don't be lazy to search. Don't be lazy to research. Have a growth mindset. Have the growth mindset, knowing that there is nothing that is impossible. There is nothing. You have to be that flexible. You have to be that adaptable to know that, okay, if I think it, if I conceive it, it's possible. I can make it happen. So don't have that, oh, since we don't have this is not possible. That is not a growth, but that's a fixed mindset. You have to have that growth mindset. For these two things, if you have these two things, I think you can innovate anything. You can create anything in your classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Afolabi. So my key take home is be a continuous learner. Have a growth mindset. Then search. If you search, there will always be an answer. Thank you very much. So Mrs. Shola.
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Empowering teachers as leaders. How can teachers step into leadership roles, even if they are not in formal administrative positions? How can teachers step into leadership roles, even if they are not in formal administrative position? Over to you, Ms. Ishola.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. And I will be talking like my dear sister said. Thank you so much for joining in to listen to us. And I'm thanking everyone that also called to come and share their knowledge. However, to briefly answer your question, I would say that teachers don't need formal titles to be leaders. We don't need to be called the head teacher, the head of school, the head of department, or head of section, whatever it is, to be a leader. We all know that leaders inspire, leaders are influencers. So leadership is about influence, and you can lead from anywhere in this. I mean, leadership is one of the 21st century skills. Even the learners in our class are leaders. They're supposed to be trained to discover the skill, the leadership skill in them. So as a teacher, just like our mother said, that there are several things you can do. You can stand out. If you are standing out, if you are inspiring other people to do the best that they can do, you're already a leader because you are inspiring them, you are influencing them. So you can lead from anywhere in the school. I mean, as an educator, you are a leader in your classroom, in your teacher's lounge, in your community. All you need to do is to empower yourself with knowledge, share your passion with a shameless audacity, right? And inspire others, the people you know, the people you don't know, as much as you can reach. Take the lead in your growth. Lead yourself first, and you think that naturally you just be a leader, and these things because doors will open to you. People that try to be leaders, try to be head teacher, they usually don't get to that post because they'll be busy minding things they're not supposed to mind. But people who look inward and try to work on their growth, they are leading themselves, they are inspiring people without looking for immediate gratification are the ones that, that get appointed, are the ones that people really look up to, right? So, I mean, technology has even made it easy. You can be a teacher in a school, yet what you're doing to reach people beyond your school is more than what even your leader in your school is doing. So you necessarily don't have to struggle or be working. Yes, it's a good thing if you get promoted, if you get, if you get the position, nobody's saying it's bad. But before we get to that place, let's work on ourselves. Let's do the best we can do. And every other thing will fall into place. So teachers know that you are the art of education. I call my teachers and tell them that they are the production manager. Without them, I mean, how many classes will I go to be teaching the children if you let the teachers are not there? The teachers are leaders already. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shola. So as a teacher, we do not need any title to be a leader. And you should always remember that as a teacher, you are the art of education. Thank you very much. So over to Mr. Folabi and Mrs. Toyosi. This is the last question. Your message to educators. If there is one piece of advice or encouragement you like to share with the educators here, what would it be? Mr. Folabi first.
Thank you very much. One thing. The first thing I will say is, like I said earlier, as a teacher, you are the greatest tool that you have. If you lose yourself, then the greatest tool is lost. You need to always put yourself in the position where you can actually inspire your students. Beyond this content knowledge, beyond the subject matter that you teach, you are the role model. Like John Wooden said, he said something. He said, "No written plea, no written words, no spoken plea, not the books on the shelf can tell our youth what they should become. It is who the teachers are themselves. It is who you are as a teacher that inspire your students. So please, you need to focus on your continuous learning. You need to focus on your ability to serve beyond just your classroom. And that is what inspires your students to look up to you. Like Mrs. Shola rightly said, you are a teacher already in your classroom. So leave that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Folabi. Mrs. Toyosi, over to you.
What I'm going to say is similar to what Mr. Shola said. Mr. Shola, right? It is the fact that you should believe in yourself and in your value as an educator. I have met teachers who are not proud of the fact that they are educators. Don't let that be you. Because what you don't realize is that as an educator, you have immense value to the world and to the people around you, and you are multi-skilled. So believe in yourself, believe in your value as an educator. That will propel you to go all out to be the best that you can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Toyosi. Mr. Folabi, thank you. Mrs. Shola, thank you very much. So tonight has truly been a testament to the power of resilience, care, and innovation in education. I want to say a big thank you to our amazing speakers, our panelists, and of course, all of you who participated so actively. You've made this event so meaningful. But guess what? Hope you know this is day one. Tomorrow is day two, and you can't afford to miss tomorrow's program. To wrap it up, I would love to remind you to share your takeaway from today in the chat or on social media. And please make use of the hashtag Changemakers Masterclass to keep the conversation going. Thank you once again for being part of this transformative experience. See you tomorrow. If there's any question, please make use of the chat box or the social media handle. You can send your questions via the WhatsApp, the Telegram, the Instagram, the LinkedIn site. Thank you very much. And please make use of the Changemakers Masterclass hashtag for all conversation. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. And don't forget, there's a prize for the first person to log in today and tomorrow. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shola. Over to you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Shola.
Thank you.